In this episode, I chat with down-to-earth mother of three, Laura Aubusson, who's also a freelance journalist and just an all-round gentle human. I became acquainted with Laura when she was writing for the popular parenting website named KidSpot. It was her third pregnancy and she was busy researching postpartum care practices from around the world and decided to reach out to engage my support. Some of the topics that we cover are preparing for a new baby and introducing siblings, support systems in motherhood, the role of partners in asking for their support, not permission, to engage paid help, cultural perspectives on postpartum care, navigating life with 3 children, and embracing self-compassion in motherhood. This conversation feels more like a coffee catch-up than an episode, and I really hope that for you, you receive it as a warm embrace from the village. Enjoy. Hi Laura, welcome to the podcast. Can I first get you just to introduce yourself and who you're a mama to?
My name is Laura Aubusson and I live in Sydney with my family of 3 kids. I've got an 8-year-old daughter and 2 boys. They're 6 and 2.
Beautiful. Was motherhood always on the radar for you?
Yeah, I think it was. I came from a big family and I've always felt like I would become a mother if that were to become true. If I was lucky enough to have children, I always wanted to be a mum, and my partner felt the same way, and we've been together a long time, and it was part of our journey that we would hope to be parents. So we're very fortunate to have 3 healthy, happy kids.
Yeah, they're pretty gorgeous too. Yeah. So we met when you were pregnant with baby number 3, and it was a time that you were reaching out for some sort of postpartum care.
Yeah.
What was it about your third experience that you decided, okay, this is something I want to do a little bit differently?
Yeah. Well, it's sad that it took me 3 goes to realise how important postpartum care is. It's something I wish, but it's so hard to explain to a first-time mom that this is what you need to invest in. But anyway, it took me 2 births and 2 pregnancies to realise that I had to focus on that care after my third, and also my birth. I wanted a different birth experience and I wanted a different postpartum experience. My first 2 were pretty straightforward. I was quite fortunate that their births were normal in a sense. I didn't have any big issues, and at the time I thought they were fine, but it was kind of it was a shock, the postpartum part of what was going on with my body, learning to breastfeed, and my baby cried a lot, but I kind of managed that okay. It was my second birth probably, and postpartum that changed things and my priorities for the third. Again, it was a kind of a straightforward birth, but I used an epidural those first 2 times. I didn't like how I felt after those 2 births. The postpartum, I just didn't think to rest. I did not put anything in, because my baby slept, like he was really good. My first cried a lot and that was difficult, but the second he slept and he didn't make a noise. So I kind of just got on with things. My body was healing okay initially, but then I kind of had some pelvic floor issues and pain from stitches that, wasn't straightforward. And I realized I was just doing too much at the time. I really didn't think that I'd just gone through that major physical, emotional, hormonal thing and needed to stop and kind of honor that. My husband went away as well, and we don't have much support. So I had my mum at the time for a little bit, but I didn't put anything in place to help with overwhelm at the time. And from that, I'm already quite an anxious person and have had anxiety in my life, but that kind of went up a lot. Definitely would have had postpartum anxiety, that kind of hypervigilance. Not so much overwhelm. The transition was okay from 1 to 2, but yeah, I remember I was lifting my 2-year-old a couple of weeks after, like I just didn't rest the body. And then, I kind of went into a stage of depletion after that. He breastfed a lot. I just didn't look after myself. And so third time around, I put in place, I spoke to my husband that we would have a new plan and I wanted to get not think about food or the house. By then the kids were starting school or in school, so I didn't want to deal with uniforms, lunchboxes, nothing. I wanted to lay in bed with my third and really bond with him and heal my body at that time. And it was a totally different experience for the better.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing. I think we're not set up for postpartum, are we? We're not told that this is, there's the birth is not the end stage. It's just really the beginning. It's the starting line. We're not really told about the sorts of things that we are going to feel and the ways that we're going to be depleted and the ways that it may show up in us. This is a big deal. We're also born. We're a mother, and it's changed us a lot. And it's just something that we're not prepared enough for. And I think we're all on a mission to change that, aren't we?
Yeah. I would love things in place because as a first-time mum, you really don't know until you've gone through it, because you could talk about these hormone shifts and drops and the tears and the body changes, but until you've gone through it, it is so life-changing, shocking and hard that, you have to feel it to know it. And then you couldn't tell me when I was pregnant for the first time, go spend your money on food deliveries and massage and acupuncture and physio appointments. I'm about to become a mum for the first time. So I was like, baby names, baby clothes, like I'm getting this new baby in my life. It was very focused on the baby. There was, besides birth, like in lessons, antenatal lessons at the hospital, that's all we did. That was very focused on towards the end of pregnancy and birth. They taught us, I remember, like how to do a nappy. There was a separate course for breastfeeding, but there was nothing. And then you have the baby and you have a 6-week checkup. That's it. After basically going through surgery, or many people do have surgery, or this huge moment for your body and emotions, and you have a 6-week checkup, which is just to tick the box, ask you about contraception. There is nothing really checking in with the mother and how she's doing, which I wish they would hand out, at least to remind you, like a physio appointment, go get your pelvic floor checked during pregnancy or after. Like that should be at the very least a minimum. And then the load, you have to get support. You have to get people to help you. You can't try and do it all yourself.
Yeah, it's interesting you were saying all of that as well. I was talking to a mum just before we started this conversation. I was visiting her, and she was saying that her sister-in-law, who was in Fiji at the time of having her babies, she said that she hasn't really recovered from, birth, postpartum, and just the magnitude of the experience for about 7 years now.
Oh, right.
And she said, she didn't have the support. She was in a country where her family were not, and she didn't think that she needed anything herself. She thought that it would just be about mothering the child. And she was determined to tell her sister-in-law here in Australia that, these are the things you don't get told, and I want to tell you everything.
Yeah.
Not in a way to frighten her, but in a way to prepare her. I think it's more frightening if you start to feel things that have shocked you and were not prepared for than if someone just said, hey, you might not, but you might start experiencing some hypervigilance, or you might get some intrusive thoughts that you were not expecting, or, you probably will feel really tired and not feel as close with your partner for a while, or whatever it is, like if someone was just giving you that sort of heads up about the sorts of things that would be really useful. But that's something that comes up a lot, that why didn't anybody tell me about this? Yeah.
And because it becomes very lonely and isolating anyway when you're at home looking after a baby, and you kind of just look on social media maybe, like it's not real life what you might be comparing yourself to. So to actually talk to people and have connection and conversation, like real conversations, not out of fear, but just to talk about what might happen emotionally, I think it's missing.
Yes, yeah, very underestimated. So you also mentioned that you had a good chat with your husband and got him on board. And this is something I hear with a lot of mothers too, is that they're realizing that maybe they were, they've their second time around or third, like you were, and they're realizing that, this is something they want to plan differently, but they've got to sell the idea to their husband. What would you say to that? How did that work for you? Was that something that your husband was really on board with straight away?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I was lucky to have someone who was going to support me. I went into birth as well differently as well. So I had birth and postpartum. I was treating a bit differently this time around, but he was super supportive. Um, it's funny when you have the third, like he still went to work. It's not like he was at home around the house the whole time. He still went to work because the big kids were at school. But he took care of everything else outside of that, like their meals and their cleaning. And he was happy to do that because I don't know, I may have shared some podcasts and articles. But he was very keen to be that support. He wanted it to be, not that it was bad the other times around, but we just wanted to do it right this time. I don't have my parents here or other family members, so I needed him. And I was just quite firm. I was like, this is what's happening. I'm going to be staying in bed mostly, and I'm being horizontal. And because I had some pelvic floor issues, that was kind of my main thing. I didn't want that to happen again. So really, truly resting and laying was important to me. And the only way I could do that was with his support. But then that's when you came in. I needed someone else to take care of me because we had the older children. He was going to take care of all those needs, but it's a huge ask to also ask him to care for me. Obviously he was, but that extra support for me.
Yeah,
So sounding
absolutely.
board off you. We had lovely conversations. You massaged and the food. It was just, yeah, I wanted him to focus on the kids. So I didn't put the pressure on him doing everything for me. I was kind of putting some other things in place for that. And so was he. But yeah, we just spoke about what was possible and how we could make it work. It's so
Yeah.
important. It's really hard line to get the men over, I think, because it is such an adjustment. And like I said before, you just really don't know, especially men or partners who aren't physically and emotionally going through it. It's very hard to say or explain what's going on. And you don't want to admit that you maybe feel like you're failing or not doing the right thing or that motherhood's harder than you thought. You keep a lot to yourself. So really talking about what might come up is so important. Even if you're not planning, I don't know, certain things like food deliveries and whatnot, but just having those honest conversations about how I might change is so important. How our relationship might change, that you're going to have to lean on your partner and other people. You have to take the help as well. Ask for it, but also when people in your life do offer, take it. Like I tried to be the perfect mom and, that martyr mother, like just don't. It's not worth it.
Yes. And this is coming from an experienced third time mother. So listen, mums.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
she
was
knows
super
her
lax
stuff.
with things this time. Yeah, you can let things go. Like I was really focused on sleep and getting things perfect. And when they cried, I'd feel shame. Like you just have to surrender to a lot,
Mm,
and
mm.
you can't control so much.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, often first time mums are very focused on the baby and the baby's like the things that the baby might need, the
Yeah,
tangible things. And then, next time around they're like, well, I know the baby needs very little, but they mostly need a healthy and well-rested mum
yeah,
and well fed. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
so at the time of reaching out to me, you were a writer for kids for the very popular parenting website KidSpot. What did you find in your research that piqued your interest in postpartum care?
yeah. It was through I started noticing. I wrote about a lot and anything affecting mums and parenting, but I did see a few stories about that confinement in other
Mm,
cultures overseas, about and how they treat postpartum care, and that Australia is very, very behind. Even I was piqued, by parenting payment schemes, like in other countries, what parental leaves dads get and how much time parents honour to postpartum. And yeah, I was fascinated. I hadn't heard about doulas or postpartum doulas until my third or pregnancy,
Wow.
which is crazy to me because I'm in that parenting space and I'm on social, like scrolling for ideas and stories. But once I started looking into it, then it was, my algorithm really fed me a lot. So I just saw that how they treated women they didn't let their feet touch the ground almost, or they definitely don't let the baby touch the ground. And there's a sense of village, community, and they really care for the mother rather than just the baby. Obviously, the baby's needs are important, but we have such a mental health crisis, especially in women and postpartum. And it would be far more cost effective to put in measures to protect her preventatively than later. So, yeah, I was just really fascinated of how she was looked after with not having a mum here, not having my sisters live away. That kind of culture of community and village, I just think has just become so fragmented today in our society. And I don't really know how we get it back, but yeah, it's so important.
Yeah, and I think once you see that, once you've seen what could be possible and what is being done and what has been done for eons of years, it's not like a new thing.
No, I don't know why we got rid of it. Yep.
Yeah, it's really, once you see it, you can't unsee it, can you? It's like, okay, that makes so much sense. It's a big ordeal becoming a mother, and we are, working through this transition for years to come. It's not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of failing. It's a sign of like getting the support that we need, just as anyone else in any other role would get. So that was in the workplace. There's always a supportive group. There's people you can turn to. There's people you can share with or get ideas from or, outsource to. It really should have the same mentality, becoming a mother. It's a very multifaceted task and it shouldn't be done alone.
Yeah. And with connection, like you can't do it physically alone or emotionally. You need to connect and relate to other women and mothers, parents.
Totally.
It's like a HR. There's HR. There's no kind of
Well,
HR.
I was thinking of HR in the workplace. I was going to say that. Like we have somebody that we can turn to when things get a bit tough or overwhelming or, just feeling out of depth. And I think not that I would relate being a mother to being in the workplace, but in that way, I guess it is. It's a role.
Yeah.
And for some reason we suddenly think that this role in our life we need to do alone, but nothing else we've done alone previously to that.
No, especially women, I think too. And motherhood was not supposed to be a single soul role.
No, not at all. So how did you feel different? You've kind of touched on it, but you felt quite differently after getting that kind of nurturing support and care. What are the key takeaways from, having postpartum support third time around?
Oh, having postpartum support that third time around, or even planning for it, was my best postpartum by far. I felt the healthiest. I think my birth also, I didn't do drugs the third time, and I didn't hemorrhage. I didn't get stitches. I had a different physical recovery as well, so that helped. And then not having to think about, even after my first and second, I wasn't super overwhelmed. My kids were quite, like, especially the second time around, I did get depleted and fatigued and more anxious. It was also leading into COVID that time too, so that kind of added to those feelings. But yeah, I just didn't feel as stressed, and I think I took pressure off myself as well, which is another thing you can't really tell that first time mom as much as you try. But I took away the sleep pressure to get the baby to sleep, and I took away pressure to look okay all the time, to feel okay all the time, and for my house to look good all the time. Like I took away all of that pressure and just really focused on the baby. But having meals arrive reminded me to eat and that it's important. Like your snacks I'm obsessed with because you're so hungry breastfeeding, but you just forget to eat, or you eat things that aren't great for you. So I don't know, my 6-week checkup was the first time I wasn't anemic after birth. So the third time around, my iron was fine. I was tired, but I wasn't, super, super fatigued. I was just fueling myself a bit better, but I'd rested. I literally laid in bed for a couple of weeks. I didn't leave the house for a week. I think I went to one appointment, but I just stayed home. And I knew also how fast it goes with the babies. I wanted to just really soak up that time and bond, because I knew that would hopefully help, my breastfeeding journey and, my connection with him and stress long term. I mean, they know that proper postpartum care is linked to lessening the risk of, those mood disorders and depletion. If you get it right, it can really make a difference. And it did for those first 6 months. I mean, when everything went back to normal, when it was just, okay, get on with it now, you've got 3 kids, that was a bit hard of an adjustment. But I would go back to that newborn bubble in a second. I loved it.
So mum of 3 at probably a different phase and season. What does being a mama of 3 look like for you at the moment? What are you most enjoying?
It's super busy. But yeah, what did I say? I've got 2 in school. So I've got an 8-year-old, 6-year-old and the toddler with me. And I don't know, every stage obviously has its challenges and overwhelm. And I definitely have those moments, but I love seeing them turn into these new people. And I feel like there has been a shift, especially with my oldest, who's turned 8. Like those, 0 to 5 days are really feeling further away. So she's really growing up. I love who she's turning into. And same with my son, he's just done kindy. So just their personalities are really starting to develop and shine. And then the toddler, I've been lucky to spend a lot of time with him, and it was a kind of deliberate decision. And it does come from a place of privilege, which I'll acknowledge. But he's turning 2, which is, he's wild. He's totally different to my other 2 quite sensitive souls. He's totally different character, very energetic, and I have to, entertain him all day. He's busy, hungry, very funny. But 2 is when they're just starting to talk and kind of get their independence. So we're busy with him. And then we've got the school sport life, which is kind of that new chapter, which I'm enjoying. But I've just always, I don't know if I just knew this from early on, and it's not about like loving every moment, because it's not. I've definitely had low moments, angry moments, but it just goes so fast that you just have to kind of lean into the season that you're in. And we have bedtime struggles most nights. Like we're exhausted. We're like, what have we done? We question, some of our parenting and with our kids, but they're good kids. And I don't know, I have to let go. I let go of a lot of the pressure to be perfect mom and have perfect kids. And I just think that is an easier place to sit. But it's good fun. They're full of energy at the moment.
Yes. And I've seen your little one. He is so funny, and it's such a cute age. And I know that it would be giving your older children so much entertainment as well.
Yeah. And they've really embraced him. Like I've got the mother figure in the daughter who's just obsessed with nurturing. And then my middle son loves having another boy around, and he's desperate for him to be big enough and old enough to really wrestle and have it. But he has a go. The 2-year-old tries to.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cute. So, sometimes when we have multiple children, the adjustment for the other siblings or the older siblings can be really tricky. How did you find that kind of assimilation of bringing a new baby in each time?
Yeah, I was worried about it every time. I think like every mum, you kind of wonder how they're going to slot in and how much space you have to manage all the emotional needs of every child. But I was lucky with my first, the age gap was 2 years, which I didn't have super tight gaps either. I think that would be a totally different experience, or big gaps. I don't know. Everyone's journey is different, but I liked the 2.5 years with her and my second because I had them both at home. Actually, that went into COVID, so we spent a lot of time at home, but my husband was home during COVID as well. So that helped, I think, even though it was, we couldn't see family and go out, but they were still young. So we weren't having to adjust to school life or anything. They were, and she really loved having him around. Like, she doted on the baby. My third, there was a 4-year gap, so I was a bit more conscious of him being older and aware of a new person coming in and taking time away from him with mum and dad or his sister. He's obsessed with his older sister. So there were definitely rough moments and like stern words about gentle hands, and but he's also quite a soft personality as well. So deep down he's quite nurturing, and we can see when they're flipping out and starting to kind of get angsty or hyper, we can tell that, we're not filling up their cup as much. And we've learned my advice would just be, you have to still kind of give a bit of one-on-one to each child, and I don't mean a whole one-on-one date for a day. It's literally 5 minutes, like a few minutes. I can tell, especially with probably my middle child the most, that he wants more connection and more attention, and it's just sitting down and reading a book with him, looking him in the face and really talking to him, kicking the ball around, like actually just getting a laugh with him and a giggle. It kind of moves that energy. If he's feeling like someone else is getting too much time, he's probably the only one that had those kind of jealousy, because he's a bit older, I think. But I don't know. It can be hard to manage, and kids, it's just their personality. But I just think giving a bit of attention, even you can lay in bed and read a book. So it doesn't have to be a lot. And I do remember someone telling me when a baby came in, because you are feeding all the time and sitting and napping and rocking, you do have to give a lot of physical time away from other people with the baby. And I remembered someone saying, like, don't keep blaming the baby. So kind of rephrase it, instead of saying, I can't remember what I said at the time, but instead of saying, no, I have to be, he needs me now, I need to be with him. Right, instead of blaming him, just kind of say, I'll be 2 minutes and then I'd love to play trucks with you, and I'm just going to put the baby in the rocker and then I'd love to read you a book, rather than saying, oh, so-and-so needs me, I have to put him down, I can't now because they're crying or they're sleeping, rather than it'll be 1 more minute, or, and then I'll be with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to know that you're listening and you are invested in them as well, because you are constantly holding and rocking and feeding baby.
Exactly,
Baby,
Yeah, no, that's a really good tip. So the resentment doesn't build in the older children.
Yeah, you do spend a lot of time. You have to kind of give a lot of time.
You have to, but as you said, there are ways around it, even if you're lying down, and they just want something, don't they? It can be quite simple. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, do you have a self-care routine?
I don't really. It's something I know is like super important, and I know I am a much better mother when I'm doing things for myself or taking a minute. My husband's very big on this for me, because he can tell, you haven't gone for a walk this week. Like, you need to get out of the house. So I like walks, listening to podcasts, going for a walk, saunas, reading a book. I do get overstimulated with the noise and just life admin, if you feel the notifications are going off nonstop and the chores are building up. So I do like to get out of the house and either get in nature, do some breathing. But yeah, seeing people, I think connection and like having social interaction is important, because I work from home. And I have my toddler with me every day, that you can find yourself not speaking to anybody for a few days. So even calling a friend, going for a walk with them in person, or just ringing someone up who you need to speak to, just to have a vent and talk about whatever. It doesn't have to be deep. I think it's really important.
Yeah.
because you can just get in your head a bit at home. You can get, comparison and worries. So getting outside of the house for me. But it is hard when you have little ones. Like, I struggled with leaving my kids. That was a part of my kind of anxiety and hypervigilance. I didn't like leaving them at all. So you have to trust that. And it's good. I remember speaking with the psychologist a long time ago about this. And my daughter was older, but I didn't want to leave her for long periods. But she reminded me that it's so important for them to have healthy attachments to other carers and adults. And it goes back to that village thing. You're not meant to be the only trusted person in their life, and it's good for them. And I even mean my husband, like, I didn't even want to leave them for a long period of time. I don't know why. It was just part of my probably anxiety, but they're going to be okay. They might do things differently, whoever's caring for them, a grandmother or parent, or but they're going to be okay. And you're so much better by having some clear space in your mind, or doing something physical, going to the beach, getting in nature, taking a few breaths. You'll be so much better when you come back into the house, especially in those newborn days. It's hard to be separate, but even if it's for a walk around the block and just kind of really breathing in the sky and the trees and nature and just slowing things down, I think is crucial.
Yes, definitely. It's a funny word, isn't it? Like that term self-care. It's a bit of a buzz phrase, which I don't always love. And it can look different for everybody. It doesn't necessarily mean, probably the things that we thought was self-care before we had children are quite different to the things that we can do, what we can realistically do. And sometimes it's with our children. But it's still filling our cup, like we are getting out in some fresh air, even if we're at the park or whatever. But it is really important just to do something that fills our cup, even if it's 5 minutes every day.
Yeah, because some people would say, and they'd say, oh, going to the shops or having a shower isn't self-care. But for some people, I do love a really long hot shower alone and having, all the smells, nice shower alone or bath. That is self-care for some people. And it could be just that for that day.
Exactly. And I think it's just reframing what we think of as self-care and actually doing those things mindfully, like being in the shower mindfully and realizing this is my moment here. This is when I'm going to really, embrace it. Yeah.
Yes, because sometimes I feel that pressure. I don't know, my husband will come home and you're like, right, you've got 2 hours, 3 hours, like go do something for yourself. And I kind of feel pressure to do something that will immediately make me feel better. That's not always going to be the case. So I think you're right in more just practicing mindfulness and being more in the moment. If you're the type of person that can have overthinking or overwhelm, that it just bring it back slower and being mindful. I think wherever you are, that can help things better than maybe getting that, I don't know, maybe the massage makes you overthink. Sometimes I've laid there and just I'm ruminating, and it's better to kind of get your heart going for a walk, maybe. As simple as that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and for some, being with people, the connection piece is what they need. But for others, it's the alone time.
Yeah.
So it's your very unique. Everyone is very unique, and choose something that don't let society tell you what self-care is. It's
exactly.
very different to to different people. So we've talked a little bit about the fact that you've a message to other mothers about letting things go and not being expectations and whatever. Would there be another message that you'd like to share with mothers about your experiences and what you've learnt as a mother?
Yeah, and that is so much easier said than done. I'm still, that kind of perfectionism is kind of deep in a lot of women, I think, especially if they're working parents. It can be really hard to let that go. And what you see online can be what you should be as a mum. It can be so hard to let that go, even though we know. But I think my other tip would be self-compassion, because those expectations, guilt is another one that you will just feel every day for the rest of your life. And I think no matter what you do, I go to bed most nights thinking I could have worded something differently or behaved a different way or reached out, like done something I should have done that day. But that's practicing self-compassion, I think, is just the best way to kind of counter that if you're not getting told you're a good mum, you know, when you're doing it round the clock, that's your job, especially in the early days. If your only job is to be a mum and care for this person and do all these things right, and you feel like you're not doing it right, it's a really hard gig. So I think telling yourself that you're doing a good job, that you are doing this for the first time as well, it's okay to make mistakes, and kind of be a voice of compassion is really important to kind of fend off those, I don't know, negative thoughts of like not doing things right, because it's never going to be all right. And the seasons pass, they're not forever. So just, I don't know, holding space for honoring where you are and that you're doing this for the first time is important. And yeah, reminding yourself you're still like, you're learning to be a mum too. I've never been a mum of 8-year-olds. Like, this is the first time I'm doing that. Even though I've been a mum for 8 years, there's new challenges every day. So kind of, you know, we love to compliment others, but we don't really do that to ourselves. So I think try and do that, even though I don't.
We do our best, and that's it.
Yes,
It's like,
exactly.
you know,
Just say that I'm doing my best. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's, and as you've said, you know, each child is so different. So it's not that once you've had one child, you're an expert on
No.
all things children, because they're all different, unique individuals, and it will be very different. So each time you're a mother of a new child, and there'll be new challenges at various stages of their life. Yeah, so it's just, I agree. For me, I always say just getting back to that self-compassion, because it is a very, very hard gig, and it's long-term. It's not so, I think we often get caught up in little things that we've said. I do the same. Little things that we've said, and we're the ones ruminating over it, but they've forgotten.
Yeah.
They've forgotten, and it's a new, you know, we're doing a new thing, and it's a new day or it's a new week. And so it's a lifetime relationship, not just one moment or, you know, something that was, you know, not handled as well one day. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and also it's giving our child that real role modeling of being self-compassionate. I think is very important too, to show them that we're not constantly hard on ourselves. We're not, you know, always being negative and self-critical. That's so important too.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. Teaching them, and I'm still managing this all the time, but yeah, managing overwhelm and managing frustration or making mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, and tomorrow is a new day. I guess I try and, we can start again tomorrow. Because you see a lot, like the big, like repair is if you do mess up, and I'm talking about like tantrums and rousing on the kids or whatever, but the best work is kind of in the repair and what you do after. And as long as there's always connection, but yeah, you have to be kind to yourself. Like you want to be with your children, you need to, you know, treat yourself just as kind and with as much empathy.
Totally. Yeah, couldn't agree more. So what are you doing with yourself these days? Are you working around your working life with your children?
Yeah, where I'm like freelance writing at the moment, so I left KidSpot. I still did a little bit for them, but yeah, just for our life, our family life, I wanted to be available and home for my kids at the moment, especially with my youngest. But yeah, like I said, we don't have much family support, so it's wild how busier it gets when they start school. Like they're not there in the day, but the day is short, the school day is short. So yeah, I do some writing, content work, and still do some news articles around the kids' schedules. In the new year, we'll switch things a bit, I think, and put him into proper care. But yeah, I've enjoyed having him around, but he's definitely ready for some more socializing and activities. And I'd like to get a bit more, like a sense of achievement and creativity in my life as well now. So, but yeah, I'm still focused on kind of, these are the passions for me. Like I always liked writing about mental health and parenting, but more specifically women's issues and postpartum and birth. So freelancing, I've been able to do stories that I like to share and speak to women or men who I want to tell their stories. So I'm a bit more selective in the work that I want to do. And it's flexible. But yeah, I'd like to lean a bit more into it in the new year.
If you would have like a bigger vision or a 20-year goals, what would they be in terms of your work?
I'd love to be in kind of whether it's a charity space or not for profit, but in women's mental health postpartum care. I think we're so behind and missing so much. I don't know what the steps look like, but so much work needs to be done in this field of caring for new mothers. But yeah, if I could build a home for us to stay at after birth, it'd be incredible. I know people are already doing work like that, but it's just about getting support and, getting a group of all these specialists together and really caring for women. Even if you just got like a physio appointment delivered to you after you had a baby, an acupuncturist or a massage little token to go get this care, there needs to be policy change, systematic change. It's good we're having these conversations, and I think there has been a shift, like the birth trauma inquiry, like we know how many women are impacted and affected by or having long-term mental health impacts because of how they labored or how they gave birth or how they were cared for afterwards. So hopefully some things are shifting, but we just need lots and lots of money to invest in this type of care. It would help so many people, but women just need to know they're not alone. Like there's so many going through the exact same feelings. But yeah, so talking is important and sharing conversation.
Yeah, it's the awareness piece, isn't it? And it's the education piece. But I think like there's so many women that are working in advocacy and, hands-on and grassroots in this world. There's so many that are well-intentioned and, really do want to make a difference to the lives of women and families, but you can't do it alone. You do need support in that as well. Yeah. And backup. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many individuals. Yeah, I know. But it needs to come from the top somehow. System, government, money. I would love to see so much. Yeah, I don't know why we can't. I mean, it comes from living in cities and more areas that are kind of disconnected, but we're living away from our loved ones more, and we just, kind of need to bring back a sense of community and village to new mums and know that, you can take help and ask for help. It is there. Like there's women out there, there's businesses out there, but it's hard sometimes to connect them and know that it's important, like them to know that this is where I need to spend some time, like invest in me in this period of my life, because it's so much focus on the baby, which is great. But the baby only needs a few things, mostly mum. Yeah.
And the baby needs a healthy and happy mum. Yeah. And I'm thinking like we do have like some private centres and some, places that are pretty much a very small amount still of psychiatric units in our country. Really behind there. And even though there's starting to be a few extra rooms available at some of the local, public hospitals, most of the time you have to pay a lot of money for these things. And it would so great to have this available to all mothers, regardless of their socioeconomic background, so that it's a universal care system.
Yeah, and I would argue that the people who need that care the most, wouldn't have as much money. I'd say the people that have support in their lives and may already have kind of those systems set up to support them or family nearby. It's the families, the women who don't have their family nearby. They mightn't have as much money to afford good meals and support system. They're the ones that kind of need that care or might be at more risk of, more negative impacts later. I mean, but it can happen to anyone. It happens to everyone, everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, baby steps.
Yeah.
What would you like to say as a closing message?
Oh, I don't know.
You've said so many gems, actually. I could take out so many things.
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard being a mum. And I just wish I knew back then what I know now about postpartum care. Really look into it and really think about what's in place after birth. It's postpartum, I would say, is more the main event than birth. And it's hard to get your head around, but there's so many great providers. There's obviously things cost money, but I forgo the baby shower and the expensive nursery items, the fancy cot. Like, the baby needs basic things. Tell your family and friends to invest in meal deliveries and a cleaner, just things to really lighten your load when you go into motherhood. And block out time for you to be mindful or do something that is a bit of a spark for you or joy, because it can be very, not dark, but you are in a bit of a Groundhog Day in those early days where it's the same thing over and you get anxiety leading into the night about what's going to happen overnight. So you just carve out a little bit of time, talk to your husband, partner, whoever's in your life that can help you. And yeah, I don't know, be compassionate with yourself. Nothing lasts forever. None of it. Even when they're sleeping well, that will not last forever, I don't think. But the challenges come and go constantly. And the joy, there is always little glimmers that you have to look for.
Yeah, so true. And I think, like, saying that nothing lasts forever and that there's different seasons is also a nice reminder not to be wishing away certain parts of it, that things are going to get so much better and then I'm going to be able to, do so much more, say when they're at school, like you've mentioned.
Yeah,
I think we think, oh, when they go to school, that's when I'm going to start studying, and I've put off my career until then. In actual fact, it often gets busier, as you would probably agree.
Yeah.
Because on shorter days,
Yeah. If you're not doing before and after school care or don't have grandparents, you have to pick up and drop off your kids, and it can be really difficult to kind of fit a work schedule around that. It's quite stressful. I'd say that's another thing you have to talk about as well before going into birth and postpartum is what, not financial situation, but what the work situation looks like and what kind of expectations there are on you or your partner, because that can build kind of resentment or if you want to get back to the workforce, but it depends what your family needs and wants. I think that you have to have that conversation as well going into it of how much time you're going to take off work. I think that people kind of forget that because it's such a hard thing to manage once the children are there and, for lots of different reasons. But yeah, I just don't, it's hard to say that. I don't like the toxic kind of enjoy every moment but don't wish it away, because you will kind of miss certain parts. You won't love and miss every day, but honor where you are. Don't try and do it all. You can't. You will drop balls, and someone told me this, some of them are plastic and some of them are glass. So you are juggling everything, but some can be dropped. You don't have to hold everything. You want to be able to, there's no point sorry, what was I going to say? You can't kind of regret anything because it's not real. You are where you are and you kind of have to lean into it and ask for help, take the help and be as mindful as you can, which is, I find that really hard with 3 kids, but you do have to take time for yourself and talk to people, be social and be compassionate.
Definitely. It's a beautiful way to end. If I could just add, don't be competitive and don't compare yourself with other families, because probably it's not what you think it is. Yeah. It's probably very similar to you in a lot of ways, and above all, just be gentle with yourself. Yeah,
that's why those mothers groups and things, once you find, it's hard, if you get put in a mothers group, it might gel well with you, but once you do, or school mums, once you start talking to women, you realize you're all kind of having very similar feelings, and it's a nice way to connect and realize that comparison is a thief of joy, and it's not real life, what you might be seeing online. So no baby is the same as another baby. When they tell you, oh, this worked for me and this was a magic trick, your baby is your baby, and you both have your own path and you're figuring it out together.
Yes, definitely. Absolutely. That's a lovely way to finish it off. You're working it out together, and it's like any other relationship, it will take time. Yeah. So thank you so much for all your wisdom and all your insights into your own experiences, and how I know that a lot of what you've said will be of use to many other mothers that maybe aren't, as maybe not quite as progressed as you in their mothering. And it's good to know. It's good to know that it will change, it will get easier, and it will pass.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks, Katura.
I trust that you enjoyed this episode. Postpartum is Forever is a podcast that is focused on honouring the mother. My wish for you is that you feel more aware, less alone, more empowered, and a whole lot kinder to yourself in your mothering. Your support means the world to me, and so I would be grateful if you could follow me on my Instagram page, Postpartum is Forever Podcast, and share this podcast on your socials. Rate and review this podcast on whatever platform you're listening from, and subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Big love.